I'm focused on defeating the devil in 2 weekends.
But the Eagles dominated this game, put my mind at ease. This Eagles team is so special. I think myself, other people, and deep down you and other Eagles fans wanted to see a full front to back performance. I will obviously let you get to what you need to get to because you obviously had a big win over the weekend. But I wanted to start by saying I've been betting on the Washington Commanders since week 13 when they played the Titans. And they've went on to win 7 straight games and cover the spread in 7 straight games until the Eagles game. When you're on that sort of run and culminating it with I think it was like plus 425 money line smack against the Lions. When a team wins, like I won like $2,000 off of the Commanders alone. When that happens to you, you're going to have to give them their respect going into any game for the remainder of the season, no matter what. So I will say that I don't regret backing the Commanders in any way, shape, or form. For those of you who don't know, I was born in Temple Hospital, Philadelphia, PA, raised in Port Richmond. My whole family lives in Kensington still. Noah is a transplant who loves to pretend he's from Philly. If you guys didn't know
that's not true. That is not true. I do not pretend.
Instead of getting on here and giving a proper congratulations to Noah for his team going to their 3rd Super Bowl in 10 years, in a decade, he thought it'd be a good idea to text me possibly the most obnoxious thing in a group chat of all time, which fits the narrative because Eagles fans are extremely obnoxious. So I will give you credit for consistency on that. Saying, fuck my bet. You said the Commanders would be a lineage play, and I need to be held accountable. First thing, you have picked 10 million games wrong, just like anybody else, myself included. And I have never texted you saying that you need to be held accountable. And on top of that, I said my lineage play was the Commanders over 20.5 points, which smacked, and I changed lives. You're welcome. Now, first, and then I'll let you go. I'll let you do your thing. First, it was completely justified to criticize Jalen Hurts this season. He was inconsistent the entire year. The Eagles had a only better passing offense than just the Patriots. And I think he showed up for what they needed him to do. I think the play on 4th down, the throw that he made to AJ Brown encapsulated perfectly of that connection that we all have been craving for like the past few months, because we got to see how physical AJ Brown could be and Jalen Hurts drop a ball into a bucket and convert a big 4th down. However, this game was also due to a crazy defensive performance, which I will give credit to the offense completely. They capitalized on short fields and blew this game wide open. 4 turnovers, 3 sacks on Jaden Daniels, which if you look back on that, nobody could get their hands on Jaden Daniels. So shout out to the Eagles defense. Lastly, nobody's better than Shayshawn Barkley. No one. This game was over, but I do want to point out before I go on, this game was over when the Commanders came out, had a 15-play drive, went for it on 4th every single time, and in the same drive on 4th and 2, they decided to kick the field goal instead of going for it on 4th down again. That right there, in my opinion, is when the game was completely over. I don't know. I would have rather them not get it on 4th down than go for 3. And whatever decision that was, I felt was a scared decision. And right after that happened, I was like, the Eagles are 100% winning this football game. I want to say that the special teams unit is excellent. They had 1 blunder on a fake punt, but whatever. That is what it is. The Eagles, after a certain point, knew that they were going to win this game. Honestly, I give a little bit of credit to the Commanders for still going balls to the wall, not giving up, going for it in deep of their own territory. We see a lot of teams that just completely hang it up at this point, and obviously the Eagles then got the ball in short fields, capitalized on turnovers because they were taking deep shots, etc. So I think that's something that we should support because a lot of teams would have rolled over in that spot. But the Eagles dominated this game, put my mind at ease. This Eagles team is so special. I think myself, other people, and deep down you and other Eagles fans wanted to see a full front to back performance from this team. They did it when it mattered most. I will give credit for that. They'll have a great deal of confidence after their amazing performance for the next 2 weeks preparing for the Super Bowl. That's all I have to say. Go ahead and do what you need to do.
All right, you threw a lot at me. For starters, never claimed that I'm from Philadelphia. I am an Eagles fan through and through. I don't like any other Philadelphia team. I barely watch hockey, so sure, the Flyers. Um, Next, I think you taking the Commanders in this situation was the right play because they were on an absolute heater. I think one thing that we didn't address is the this we should have addressed this last week. We never addressed the fact that the teams that play the Lions the week after usually never come out and play the same type of game that they played the week before against the Lions.
That's fair.
And it was I don't even know if it's fair to say that the Commanders were like, I don't know, like beat up or like looked like it on a different speed than Philadelphia because I thought that this game was not Jaden Daniels' fault by any means. I thought that he played well. He's not the one that's responsible for those fumbles. The interception towards the end of the game pretty much doesn't even count because that game was almost out of reach anyways, and you
Trying to
have
make
to
plays.
that's what you have to do in a scenario like that. You have to take shots. You have to try and push the ball downfield when you're down 3 scores. So I don't even necessarily count that. Me getting on you for your bet. You were right about the over, but the only reason I did that is because I don't post any of my bets on Twitter. I
you're
fully
scared.
admit when
Because
you're darn
you are
right.
scared. I'm not.
I also didn't bet on the game.
Okay.
Or the Chiefs Bills game, for that matter. But that's the only reason why I got on you for that one.
That's
And
fair.
May
I will.
may or may not
not
have
scared.
had some surf sides involved.
Yeah, I know because you're a jackass. But I will. But I'm not scared. Everybody else is scared. I'm not scared to go and put
You're
myself
not.
out there and say what I think.
You deserve your flowers for putting your money on the line aside from actually betting it and then showing it to everybody on Twitter. So, I mean, obviously I respect you for that, but you had to know that there was going to be a part of me that was going to get on your case for it. With that,
I don't know why.
Additionally, where else were we? Yeah, I think that the Eagles put together a very thorough game, offense, defense, special teams. Special teams play that the Commanders made on 4th down. You just chalk it up to them. Didn't see it coming, and it was perfectly executed.
Honestly, a better throw and catch than like that was a great throw and catch.
Yeah. You just tip your hat to a play call like that. The Jalen Hurts completion to AJ Brown down the sideline was a massive play, kept momentum on our side, kept the drive alive, and honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that opening drive for the Commanders going down 17 plays, whatever it was, and only kicking a field goal, and then Saquon ripping off a 60-yard run on the very first play was just like
crazy.
Everything went the Commanders' way basically on that first drive, and they still only finished the drive with 3 points. That's got to be pretty demoralizing as an offensive unit. But like I said at the beginning, I don't think that this game was Jaden Daniels' fault by any means. I thought he played as well as he could have up against one of the best defenses in the NFL. They had a hell of a season. Literally nobody expected them to get to the NFC Championship.
No.
So
hell no.
Chalk it up to that. I mean, great for them. They've got a special player at quarterback, and I'm sure they'll be in the situation down the road. So
you'd have to think so. My next question to you, and my other statement was, I feel like, and I still feel like it is completely fair to, I think everybody, and if you don't believe this or whatever it might be, if you can't see Jalen Hurts from 2 years ago to the player that he is now, if you think that he hasn't taken a massive step back in his development, I think that you're just kind of being blind to the reality. Nothing like there's no reason why he should have taken a step back, it feels like, unless if he's injured. But even after that game, I gave a ton of credit to that fourth down play, but I am still going to lean on the side of being skeptical until I see Jalen Hurts like in a situation like how we'll get to that game in a little bit, like the stuff that we talk about with Mahomes. There's 3 minutes left and Mahomes makes every single play on that drive. I haven't seen Jalen Hurts do that in a really long time, like making plays with his legs and his feet in a high leverage moment that where it really matters. Um, Obviously that game was on the back was the performance was a full team performance. It wasn't just like a Jalen Hurts performance, even though I do think that he played very well, which thank God, like I said, we've been yearning for a performance like that from Jalen Hurts for 2 months now. So what do you think about that?
I think that Jalen almost gets to, like, I've said this before, that the Jalen that we saw in that Super Bowl in 2022, that obviously was the greatest performance that he's had as an Eagle. I
Mhm.
think that's just the outlier of who he like. You have your performances that are out of this world great, out of this world bad. Like, I think when he threw 4 or 5 interceptions against the Jets last year, I think that was probably his worst game.
No doubt.
I think the median of Jalen Hurts is probably more so right around. Um, I think he is better than. I think he can be better than what he was this
All
year,
season. I do too.
but I don't think you'll or any of us will ever see Jalen Hurts be consistently 2022 Super Bowl Jalen Hurts. That's not who he is. And again, that's
I'm not
not
even saying
even.
that performance. I'm saying
I
just
know, I
being
know,
yeah, okay. I'm just making sure we're on the
I
same
know.
page. Like I'm not saying like we need 400 yards and 5 touchdowns from Jalen Hurts.
Right.
I'm just
I
saying
know.
I want to see him throw for 225 yards and like actually be make impactful plays with his arm at some point. Obviously, the Eagles haven't been in a position in a very long time where he has had to do that. So like I said, I'm going to be on the side of caution when you're playing somebody like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, which we'll get to over the next 2 weeks, not today. And of if Jalen Hurts is put in that situation, I am going to be a little on edge about that, just from what I've seen over the last 2 years from Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I think that's totally fair, and I am in the same boat. Like,
Okay.
yes, he made that great throw on fourth down, but is that like the ideal play that I would like to see on a fourth down to keep a drive alive?
Probably not.
No, I don't
Yeah.
need to see a 30-yard shot down the field. Although in 9 out of 10 other scenarios, I feel really good about that. And I feel really good about AJ Brown making that play. But like,
Yeah.
I don't love any offense necessarily going for a deep shot downfield on fourth and medium. So like that's not just necessarily like a Jalen thing. That's just my own personal like offense running philosophy. But again,
Fair.
in a lot of other scenarios, I feel really good about a deep ball attempt to one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. But as I said before, throughout this entire playoffs, Jalen will have to make a play with his arm to win a Super Bowl. Um, don't know at what point in the game it'll be, but if he makes the play, it could be the play that brings home a Super Bowl to Philadelphia, and if not, it could be a scenario where the Chiefs three-peat. We'll
That'll
see
be
where
rough.
we'll see when we get there, but like he also hasn't had to do a ton of that this season just because of how special Saquon Barkley has been, how
Mhm.
special this offensive line has been, and just how great this defense has been at especially late forcing turnovers, giving the Eagles short fields to work with, and just making his job so much easier. He hasn't had to go out there and throw for 250. And that's just a testament as to how complete the rest of this team has been.
Yeah, I mean the team's great. I think something that's extremely underplayed is Jalen Carter is probably the best defensive player like in the NFL, and I don't think a lot of people will say that yet. I don't know why. It is what it is, but I just think that he's probably the best defensive player in the NFL. And when you don't have the best quarterback, but when you have the best defensive player in the NFL and the best offensive player in the NFL, and Saquon Barkley and Jalen Carter, I mean, you just have a really great team no matter what. And
And
I feel
Zach
like,
Bond's a defensive player of the year candidate
yeah, but
out
I
of
just feel
nowhere.
like a lot of people just don't talk. I just feel like nobody like how great Christian McCaffrey was last season and how hyped up he was. Like it feels like Saquon gets like, and I don't know, maybe I'm completely tripping, but it feels like his performances are almost like downplayed a little bit. Like
I in the
no one's talking about like all the rushing records that he's about to break. Like any like you said that to me in a group chat the other day. I haven't seen that anywhere. Like
Yeah,
about
that's
him.
true. The Terrell Davis full season rushing record, he's like
You said
30 yards
30.
away from 30 yards away from breaking it. And you're
Yeah,
right.
and
I've seen
no
that
one
one
talks
time
about
on
it.
Twitter. Other than that, nobody else has really said anything about it.
It's pretty I think it's really crazy that like I don't know what it's so weird because obviously like I think Saquon deserves a ton of hype. It just feels like the magnitude of the season that he's having, like I feel like it's severely underplayed. Like I don't
I
know.
feel like if he would have broken Eric Dickerson's record and didn't choose to like sit out a little bit, it would have gotten more recognition. But all in all, like it's been one of the best running back seasons in NFL history, and he still has one game left.
Yes,
So
he has honestly another thing that really pisses me off is he only has 13 touchdowns on the year.
he should have
That
25.
that is such bullshit that they're so concerned with doing that the tush push, and we'll get to that whole like exchange at some point in the game because that shit was annoying. The fact that Saquon has 13 touchdowns on the year is criminal. And I think that could probably play a little bit of a part into it as well. It's just like he's not scoring touchdowns.
I completely agree. He also ends up getting tackled at the 1 yard line more than anybody else has ever had happened to them in a season, which
But,
is just
but you said
insane
that
because
you said that last year. Like we say that every year about the Eagles, but like every other team in the NFL is giving their workhorse running back the ball at the 1 yard line to just punch it in. Like the Eagles just like don't do that.
I don't I mean I know why they don't do it because the QB sneak is that they run is like the most unstoppable play in football, and if it works at such a high level, just do it. But at the same time, like
But it's such a
Saquon
cheesy play.
Saquon Barkley is also just as good. Just let
Just as
him
good.
fucking take the snap.
Yeah, seriously. I really well. Let's get into that because at a point in the game, it was so the Eagles were just like you said. It's the most unstoppable play. Like just hike it and like score real quick and like call the game. Them
Yeah.
like doing the hard count and like having like Luvu keep like jumping over the pile and like to the point where the refs came in and were like, if this happens again, we're just gonna award the Eagles a touchdown. Like that play needs to be taken out of the game. It does. It's
Th-
just the
that
worst play ever.
that scenario sucked as a fan to watch. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, you need 6 inches.
Just get it.
Just snap the ball. Luvu's not actually gonna stop it, but also Luvu, just stop because you're not gonna stop it by doing that.
But he's
Like
trying to.
everybody just stop. Every, I get it. You're gonna try to do it, but you aren't gonna.
That
That's
was
not the way to do it.
that was the worst moment of it. That was like worse than watching the Chiefs. Like genuinely. That moment right there made it like almost unbearable. I was like, okay, the Eagles are getting to the point now where like they're getting like just as unbearable as like the Chiefs are. Like you just have to like whatever, you don't want to see Luvu do that as a fan. Cool, that's great for you. But at the same time, like they're trying anything to stop it. They're not going to, but also just snap the ball and score a touchdown.
I mean, yeah, I agree on both. I agree with that. Just you need 6 inches. Just snap the ball. Luvu's
Can
going to
can we
continue to do that. Like,
can we ban that play?
I,
Can
I'd
we
rather
ban that
not
play? Why?
because it works.
You actually like when it's 4th and 1 and they line up for the tush push, you actually like that. Like you
I'll
like
tell you.
watching that.
I'll tell
Complete
you what.
be from a completely objective point of view, like you're not a fan, you're not anything. Like at you consuming football, you think that's a cool play.
I wouldn't have an issue if there was some modification to where like Saquon and Dallas, whoever else is back there, just was not allowed to push him because I still am in full support of being able to QB sneak the football. And I
I didn't
don't
say
really
that.
I know I'm not done with my point yet.
Okay.
And I don't think that the success rate of the Eagles would drop that much if it was just a straight up QB sneak and they couldn't have anybody
I agree with that.
uh pushing on Jalen. The one thing that I hate about it is the fact they call it the tush push. It's the cringiest shit of all time, and I cannot stand that that is the name of it. And I understand that's what it is, but just call it a quarterback sneak. I hate that they call it that.
But there's a penalty on that play every single time, and it never gets called on the offense and the defense. Like it is a play where
But that's for the
any
referees to monitor. They have to
you're
make that.
correct.
They
You're
have to do
you're
that.
100% correct. But as a fan, I'm watching the game. I hate that. Like it's like, okay, like half the defense is offsides.
Yeah.
The offense is all false starting, and it's still like nothing happens, and they just call a play. Like it's a bad play for football. Like I just think it's stupid. I don't know what happened to I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering this wrong. I didn't search this up, but Matt Leinart ran a quarterback sneak in, and Reggie Bush pushed him in the back to score a touchdown. And didn't they ban being able to push somebody in the back on a quarterback sneak into the end zone for like years? And then at what point did that ban get lifted? Or am I just completely making that up? It was called the Bush push.
Yeah, it
Do you
was. I'm
remember
looking. I
that?
have it. Yeah, I have it right here. Uh, this was against Notre Dame in 2000. I can't find the
5?
game. I don't know what year it was in, but yeah, that did happen. And it says in the Bush push play, Leinart attempted to sneak into the end zone with help from Reggie Bush. The play was technically illegal, but it went uncalled and resulted in a game-winning touchdown for USC. Maybe it's just in college that it's not allowed.
I just thought that that was like a universal rule across like all like football. And that play where it didn't get called and it should have been, I thought from that point forward, I remember people getting called for this in the NFL. I'm telling you, where it was illegal to push somebody in the back like on a quarterback sneak.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't even think the Eagles were the first team to do it. I
No,
I
I don't
I
think so
forget who
either.
it was, but I remember somebody lining up and shoving somebody, and then the Eagles came up with like some like rugby play that they do now, and it's just like I said, it's so far out of line at this point that I just want them to. I just want the play out of the game because, like I said, we're watching Saquon get 13 touchdowns in a season instead of having 25 on
Yeah.
4th down instead of watching a creative play like for example that bomb for to AJ Brown is the correct call on 4th down. I don't know. Love to watch it though because it was sick to watch AJ Brown finally make a play for the first time in a month. Like
Yeah.
to be creative on 4th and short is also just as much as part of the game, and I'm just like I hate that it's always that's the result all the time for that. It was always like let's just do the touch push. It sucks.
I mean, until it's illegal and until the NFL
Yeah, they're
makes
gonna do it. They're gonna do it. I get that.
there's no point in them not doing it. It works too often for them not to.
I think you're correct. And I think that they're the best team at it, obviously. And that is what it is. Do you have anything else that you want to add about the Eagles' performance, anything else. Also, a thing that really got me mad is I literally tweeted right after that the Philadelphia Eagles are like one of the most premier organizations in all of sports, and you like were still freaking out on me. Like, what do you want?
That's right. I was fired up.
But what do you want?
But now I'm focused.
I just don't understand like what you want in that situation. like you're acting like I was like
I don't want anything. I honestly don't want anything. I just wanted to get fired up.
Every single criticism that everyone has of the Eagles was completely fair. And I don't think that performance in the NFC Championship changes a great deal of things, because I know a lot of people, I've seen Twitter all week where it's just like them comparing Jalen Hurts' stats to Mahomes and all this stuff. It's like, eye test, watch the games. Jalen Hurts is not on the level of those guys. Just throw that shit out. And I know that you're not saying that. I'm just saying the narrative that has been on display.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm sure you have.
It was like they did I think it was on Fox. They did like the side-by-side graphic of like the two of them, and basically every stat was like in favor of Jalen besides passing yards per game. And I was like, okay, well, like, yeah, that's great, but nobody is going to sit here and say, even on a year that like Mahomes didn't have his most insane season, is going to sit here and be like, yeah, Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes. I hate Patrick Mahomes, but I'm not that naive.
Yeah. Hey, I'm right with you. 100%.
But
do you have anything else that you want to add about the
I'm not
Eagles?
letting it get to me. No, I'm not. No, I'm focused on defeating the devil in 2 weekends.
White clouds blowing out when we max 4-5, not the size, but it could go